Chakravarti Chatar Chakravukte.
Aha, watch out. There was once a time man asked a sage, said, "My Lord, I am not very happy. The saint replied, "It is just karma." He said, "My Lord, what is karma?" He said, "You are not happy, that's karma." He looked around and he said, "Perhaps you have not understood my question." He said, "Well, what is your question?" He said, "I am not happy." He said, "I replied to you, it is a karma." He said, "How I can get rid of karma?" He said, "Go somewhere and get dharma." He said, "My Lord, I have not understood. What is dharma?" He said, "Dharma is when you answer your inner calling." He said, "Where is my inner calling?" He said, "It's a very subtle thing. It's called consciousness." He said, "That's right. There is some very meek, beautiful little thing in me which tells me, but it's too weak. I don't want to hear it." He said, "That is consciousness." There's not a one person who can live and whose conscience doesn't speak. He said, "My Lord, my conscience speaks, but I always ignore it." He said, "That's ego." Because ego, my son, he said, is only for local time and space. But you are not time and space. You are Atman. You are born not, and you die not. You come from infinite, from the unknown. You pass through the known to merge into the unknown. And if you want to merge into the unknown, you have to have dharma. He said, "My Lord, I have heard that there is a consciousness and I have to hear it. But is there any way that I can understand it in my language?" He said, "My son, there is a thing called calling." He said, "Yes." He said, "Does people speak to you? They ask you something?" He said, "Yes." He said, "That is calling." There is no moment in life that God can speak through anything. From a stone, from a tree, from a person, from a bird. What that is, all that is God. And if you can understand that anything calls on you, answer it with strength, grace, that is Dharma. He went home. His wife said, "Where you were?" He said, "I went there to see a saint." "Why you went to see a saint?" He said, "I had a calling." that I should go and see some man of God. So I went. And she said, "You forgot I'm your wife? I have a calling too. That work is not done." He said, "That's true, but I had to go." He said, "Do you understand my calling?" He said, "That's true." Then his son said that you promised me that you go with me to a certain place. You didn't show up. What kind of father I have got? So one thing, another, everything started answering him, asking him to answer, asking him to question, asking him to doing things. He dealt with it and went to the man of God again, and he says, "Lord, I went there and I don't know which calling is which calling. You said there's a calling. There was an inner calling of me and I came here. And now there's an inner calling to run. I have come here again. Because everybody is calling on me. And I do not know what to do." The man of God said, "When people call, answer them with a smile. Raise their consciousness. It will in turn raise your consciousness many turns." He came back again. His wife said, "You were missing again?" He said, "Oh, my dear girl, it was such a lofty situation. I went there to see when I can bring you there too." She said, "What was it?" She said, "I had experience. I felt like," he put whole fantasy into it. She said, "Let's go now." She said, No. I have to do something for my son. Let me do that." So he did for the son. He said, "Why so late?" He said, "I had such a fancy feeling. I met a man, I was uplifted, I was appreciated. You don't understand, my son." He said, "Papa, can I go too?" So, few days later, he took all his family. The man of God smiled. He said, "My Lord, you have smiled." He said, "This is called Sadh Sangat. This is called congregation. If it is imagined, it is uplifted, you all have come. And many will come with the inner feeling. And in return, you will find there is something better of you, higher of you, and good of you. And that is redemption, that's the resurrection. Water has to resurrect from the very chest of the ocean to the sky, and then it has to travel back and kiss the cold peaks of the mountain to become rain. It must shower like mercy of a man and must flow to the heart of the land to reach his goal, cover the distance into destiny. That's the process of life for every human being. Loftiness, exaltedness, self-confidence, appreciation to be grateful that we are alive at this moment, and we are alive together. It's like as stars are on the sky at the same night. Some are big, some are small, some are shining. Some comes late, some come earlier, but in the brim of night, there is all lit. At their axle, at their orbit, they exist. That is the condition of every human. Comparative study to learn, to grow, and to be is Dharma. To compete, compare, and be confused, it's a low-grade karma. We are all born. There are a lot of people who are rich. There are a lot of people who are wise. There are a lot of people who are powerful. There are a lot of people who are greatly unique. Are they fulfilled? Can they go to a rich person, very rich person, ask him for the money. He says, you have come at the wrong time. We have just invested yesterday. Go to a talented person. Just say, I have come to learn something. This is time for sleep. I'll see you later. If a human cannot extend himself or herself, that person cannot be redeemed. It is the light which must redeem itself by emitting and being radiant and reaching out. There was once a saint, he was very, very ill, couldn't even open his eyes. He was not in a position to crawl. His disciple took him on his shoulders in a very decorate kind of place and took them from village to place and everywhere. They carried him to the yonder lands, and there was a great collection of people and gatherings. And they prayed, and they chanted, and they blessed everybody. Finally, after 3-4 years, they returned home. The man in the feeble voice said, now you are liberated, you are all saint. My time has come. I shall be gone. The great man died. They did all the ceremonies and they read his will. He said so. I was very feeble, weak, and as unable to participate in all the holy pilgrimages, but you carried me. As you carried me, you have carried the God in your heart and grace in your head. Keep on going. And thus, afterwards, they did not stop. They all traveled to yonder lands, and they sang, and they chanted, and they blessed. Finally, they realized they are just like their master. This is called the cycle of consciousness. When you carry your goodness, your grace, your brightness, your light, your bounty, your beauty, and carry it on, and carry it on, and carry it on. I think somebody in ITT took up that word, reach out. And in this age of Aquarius, the dharma of a person shall be to reach out. Reach out to help, reach out to share smiles, reach out to hear each other, reach out for every reason, without judgment. It should be a quantum leap in the consciousness where a person will honor himself. It is the personal honor that I am a saint. It's the personal grace that I am a sage. It is personal victory that I am a human. It's personal joy that I am grateful and fulfilled. Everything is personal. Everything is shared. And every person will try one's best. You who are born in this time and this moment, at this time, at this space, at this space, at this call, and those who are here tonight, at this time and this space, I have a purpose of life. If you have a purpose of life and you don't have a projection of life, you are losing something big. It is Dharma that you through karma, yoga, will serve anybody and everybody without discrimination. Thus you will cleanse yourself of the karma and you will be enlightened in your grace and happiness of accomplishment. You are here now. None of us has features like each other. We are different in size, in weight, in shape, in caliber. Even in consciousness, even in development, we have come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences. We have different ideas. With all that, we are one. Because we are here, we are now. And this is the moment. You want to honor yourself, you shall honor the teachings. One day I remember, I was sleeping on an ordinary cot and my teacher came by my side and I just jumped up to greet him. He laughed. He asked me to follow, so I followed him in his room. He said, "Is that a good yogi act to just spring up like that?" So I said, "No, my sir, it is not right. I know." But I said I was caught in such a situation between hard and a rock place. I saw you, I wanted to be respectful, and I just got up. He says, "Is there any other reason?" I said, "No, I just wanted to greet you." He said, "You woke up?" I said, "That's true." "You felt it?" I said, "That's true." "And you jumped up?" I said, "That's true." He said, "You have earned self-control." "Now you can go." I came back, and one friend of mine asked me what he said. I said, "He told me I have earned self-control." He said, "What, jumping up is a self-control? Then let's all jump." And we say, "Okay, let us all jump." And then some other fellows of mine, we came and we 5, 6, 7, 8 started jumping. Just like kids do crazy things, and we were just in that kind of mood. So we were jumping. And he came up and he said, "Well, jumping does not make people give self-control. Monkeys?" And they said, No, sir, he went and he jumped and you said you have got self-control." We start jumping too. He said, "No, his was conscious jump. You are jumping just to jump. That is the difference between two jumps. Now you can jump, it's a good exercise, keep on jumping. But that has a purpose. life which does not have purpose and projection is useless life. And it is fortunate that everybody knows the purpose of life. Purpose of life is to be beautiful, to be bountiful, to be blissful, to be graceful and grateful. And what a wonderful English word it is, grateful. If one is great and full, one is God. And whenever ever a smallness faces you, you should be great. And full of it. Full of that greatness. Some of you might be thinking, what to do? Why we have to do it? Why we are here? Why we are not somewhere else? Judge not, my friends, you shall be judged. Isolate not yourself, you will be desolate. Don't go away, you will be gone. Self-discipline, to honor oneself, is honor the ideal of oneself. It is very difficult for the Western civilization to understand word surrender. When you surrender, you do not become weak or slave, you exalt yourself. Touch of the Master is not a fantasy. Touch of the Master is God's will. Once in the ecstasy of consciousness, that man may be weaker, uglier, and judgmental in your eyes, but in his ecstasy, if he blesses thee, thou shalt always dwell in thee. These are the ways of life. The dormant spirituality can be awakened by the touch of that one who you are in progress, the future. And that's factual. A teacher doesn't have anything. A teacher has no relatives, teacher has no wealth, no riches. Teacher has a very simple touch, very wishful touch, because a teacher has to live with the student forever. Nanak was teacher. He lives even today through his students. Not good, not bad, not great, not small. Is a cosmology of the heavens on which those stars shines. And they carry the words of Nanak. They carry the words of Jesus. They carry the word of Moses. They carry, whether Moses was great or small, Jesus was right, was wrong, none was fat or thin. Forget all that. It is not the person. It is the words which have been infused and have been told and has brought faith and has brought carried. We are all born in sin and we were thrown out of the Garden of Eden. But Jesus was born through Immaculate Conception. Can you believe this? A Christian shall live with this. If you tell him it is not true, he will kill you. He may be educated. He knows assault and battery is a felony. He knows everything of the law. But you tell him Jesus was not born through Immaculate Conception, he'll say, wait a minute, I'll tell you what it means. It's not a rational, it's not an argument, it's not a logic. Jesus was born through Immaculate Conception. He was a plum who dripped from the tree. And Mary picked it up. Call it any way you want. Angel came and gave it to it. Well, if a stalk can give you the baby, the angel can give it Jesus. But today the most educated, most perfect, highly PhD, well-settled CEO, priest, divine archbishop, pope, you cannot tell him that Jesus was not immaculately born. And he cannot accept not this and anything else. If some theologian starts saying Jesus was not immaculately born, God, you know what they will do to him? Romans by mistake put Jesus on the cross. Well, that was their way of punishment. Do you not see every Christian hanging cross? On every church there is a cross. You can't do this to it anyway. It is that factual conscience of a Christian. It is that integrity of that Christian. It is that dignity of the Christian. That my Lord is on the cross. He doesn't see him anywhere. All the goodness he said, all the great things he said, all word he spoke, all behold he said, he doesn't want to get held. He wants to do everything else but carry the cross. He's not a man of love. He's not a man of mercy. He is absolutely hypocrite, but he will carry the cross. It became his symbol. He become Christian and Christian become cross. That is projective murder of all rational logic and thinking. When a Christian dies, on his grave there is a cross. You ever thought of it that way? He kisses the cross. He makes a dagger out of the cross and kills the enemy. Have you seen those pictures? They take the dagger and they press the cross and comes the knife out, a click. But cross became the rational, irrational, logical, illogical, sophisticated, unsophisticated, a thought, a fixed thought. Exactly. Talk to a Buddhist and see. He is set in his determination. He is set. So these are all realities before us in which man in his existence carries everybody in a ditto. When it came to Nanak, all he said is, you are one God and one God's creation. When some fanatics got to him, he said, Awwal Allah, Noor upaya kudrat de sab bande. Ik noor to sab jag upjaya kaun pale jol mande. In the first is the God, and from his light everybody is born. How can you say this is good and this is bad? Ram jap, hirde Ram basat hai. Chant Ram, Ram means maker of sun and moon, and it is in your heart. So the faculty and the quality and the projection everywhere is in that oneness. It's not in duality. Maya has a duality. I am myself. I am for myself. I am for my children. This is my home. This is my state. This is my country. This is my nationality. But if you really want to understand, there is nothing which you have. Body is a tool. Rib cage is a prison, is a cage for the soul. If soul is not happy in your chest, the rib cage, you have not understood your very existence. If your breath is not easy, you have not respected life. If there is a very ugly, dirty, undesirable person, and you have not reached out and comforted soul and his existence, you have not learned anything. You talk of passionate love. You talk of possession. You talk of everything. Reality is you have no possession. Whatever you have is not yours. The very body, its features, its shape, its faculty is not yours. Some are short-sighted, some are long-sighted, some are thick nose, some are small nose, some are tall, what are you talking about? You have no control. Somebody, all right, you don't believe in God, I don't want to force on you, but something else controls all. And when something else controls all, then let all be understood. Don't become isolated individual. All is all. Even in small, S-M-A-L-L, in small, all is. All is contained in small. Manrapa once was going and his teacher started abusing him and took a stick and started beating him. He didn't know what wrong he did. He didn't understand what it is. First he tried to run, then he stopped and put his hand down and started getting the beating and getting the abuses. And the teacher said, "Is that enough?" He said, "What? What is enough?" Teacher said, "I have beaten you so much." It was not America. Don't misunderstand. He said, "My Lord, what do you mean by enough?" He said, "I have beaten you so much and I have abused you so much. Is that not enough?" He said, "You know better." He said, "What I do know?" He said, "If that calamity which was going to come and crush me, by that boulder, that huge stone which would have been rushed on me and crushed my bones, and is still hanging there, and it stopped because you started beating me and abusing me. And if that's enough, fine with me." And Malarappa ran and picked up his teacher and rolled down the hill. And that huge boulder rolled and moved, thundering the earth. When he went down and stopped, he asked teacher, "My Lord, is that enough?" Time and its actions, reactions, sequence and consequences can be diverted, not stopped. And everything can be diverted to a safety by grace of the action. That is Dharma. All tragedies which are there, which are supposed to be there, which shall hit you, can be avoided to such a minimal that you will never understand it. But when we see the sequence, we see the consequences, we freak out. We are not grateful. We do not understand. Good has no limit, so is the worst. Because we feel, and thousands of years we have been taught, everything is ours. Everything is our action. Everything is our control. This is my property. This is my son. This is my daughter. This is my religion. This is my guru. This is my God. Isn't the same God? Is the same guru? Is the same temple? Isn't one same worship? You can sit on your heels or you stand up on one leg, whatever you do. Isn't all there one is? We have never understood the message of Nanak. In one, he said. Nobody has understood word ek onkar. Mitchell started making ek onkar movement, but still ek onkar remained ek onkar. He understood the fiction, the philosophy of it. He understood the soul can travel. But he never understood ek onkar doesn't need anything but its recognition that I am one with everyone. In that everyone is ek onkar. That is how Shabd Guru started, with that one word. People are so shy of understanding of it, of being of it. And then sweat and hassle. You will never get royalty. You will not get bounty. Because it's not that you don't deserve bounty, it's not you don't deserve prosperity, because you are a thief. You are stealing from the one a part of you. Therefore you will get a part. You will not get whole. You are making fences. All right, you are controlling yourself. I am me, I am for myself. I thank you very much. But when prosperity will come, it will find all your own created hurdles. You are not for all. You are not for Sarbat da Pala. You are not unique and open to all winds. That was the beauty of the tall ships. Trade winds may blow in any way. They could change their direction to grab the wind and take the ship. Had that thing not existed, they would never have sailed. This life of yours is meant to be a life of all within you and all existing in you. God is omnipresent and omnipotent, so you. And whenever you say, I am not this, I am not that, I am not here, I am not there, who you are talking to? Every lie you ever have spoken has been understood by another man later. What has to be understood later? Why to start? Why to start a sequence for which you are not willing to face the consequences? You have a life, you have a responsibility. If honor is bestowed on you, carry that honor and honor everybody. That honor is no good which cannot honor others. That grace is no good which cannot shower grace. That power is no good which cannot uplift others. That knowledge is no good which cannot comfort and gives the hamons to others. You are a human. It is your dharma to show light and path to all. It is your day. It has dawned on you. It is your gift. You must carry your dharma, your duty. Let your memory ever be there that you will uplift everything. What is wrong to be social? What is wrong to meet? Why you act like baboons jumping all the time? Talk about miseries all the time? All this karma adds up. Your prosperity is that how your manners are. Your power is that how your mind is. Your strength is what your mutuality is. Your business is what your negotiation is. Your grace is what your character is. My friends, everything is in you. You can protect yourself. Or one who made you can protect you. Never lose your innocence. And Heavenly Father and Mother Nature shall always protect you. That was in the beginning when you were children. That shall be now, and that shall be up till end. You shall be guarded. There are two ways to life. Either you will be guarded, or you will be goaded by the time and space, and you will be miserable. Having everything, you will have no joy. Where God is not in indulgence, there is no plenty satisfaction. Rich and poor is a maya. Healthy and sick is a maya. There is in an unhealthy body very healthy mind and very enlightened spirit. Pay reverence to the coexistence of the entire humanity. And acknowledge tonight in an affirmation that you are God within the existence. The Atma and Paramatma are no two different. Mahakal and Akal has no call to face. In this grace, you must exist forever. Opportunities, callings, they can come and knock at your door. There's a mastermind which will give your mind the indications. But once you are bestowed with a grace, then never let it go. Put yourself into it. Learn to dwell in God is to learn to dwell in your grace. Let us understand tonight and let's meditate. Put your left under and right over and sit straight, hands at the heart center, which sometimes cruelly you ignore. Put that Hamiyam Brahm, could you? By the tip of the tongue, recite please, as it comes through. This is your affirmation. This is your conscious affirmation. And now, when you will have fear of death, then your affirmation which can take away the fear of death, play the other tape, change it. When there is a fear, the Maya has shackled you on this earth, and then to feel free, the projection is And when there is a faculty of life, and there's a pain like a fish on a hook, and the being and the body is asking for life, and there's not even a mind together enough to do the prayer. Then you do the ardas bhai. Sri Ved is getting smart, but it will take time.
Ardas Bhai, Amardas Guru, Amardas Guru, Ardas Bhai, Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru, Ramdas Guru.
Change it. You think I have gone old, my memory has gone wrong. But it's not true. I was right. And when sometime you will feel in a mood very low, the metabolism has gone low, the frequencies feel low, and you do not feel like chanting Guru Mantra, then you can, in the modern age, listen to this Vaheguru.
Vaheguru, 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 Vahejio, Vaheguru, 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 Vahejio, Vaheguru, 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 Vahejio, Vaheguru, 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 Vahejio, Vaheguru, Vaheguru.
Now, this is all what you hear from outside. When you want to hear from inside in the creative projection, then there is a tuni, which is from time memorial to time memorial in a simple way. And then it gives you the guidance. And slowly and gradually, you'll start riding in the waves to reach into your own inner self, complete and conscious. Satnam Ji, Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru Ji. This way you combine your notes and tunes, and you become the instrument of music and projection of that Almighty's word. And moment you project and become the total note of Almighty notes, and what happens in that projection? You project and the universe project back to you, and this way person becomes powerful, prosperous and pure. These are the systems of life which will carry you through the age of Aquarius. May the long time
sunshine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on.
Now, blessed is my soul, and blessed is my service and survival and existence and identity. Blessed is my dignity, and blessed is myself. In my reality I worship Thee. In Thou I dwell in peace and tranquility. May all me and my life and my surroundings be of me and my only unisonness, in that we coexist in purity, piety, and pleasure of all existence. May this day uplift, resurrect, and elevate my soul unto the brightness and the beauty and the bounty of God's will. May I make it myself to that Thou is, and I am not. In my gratitude for Thy life, the breath of life you gave it to me, may I serve in Thy name to all, and may I surrender and exalt into Thy existence, to create the time and space in Thy honor, and in the purity and piety of my mind, may I always excel unto Thee, O Lord, my love, my Master, my being, myself. Satnam. Is Gurtej there here? Why the hell you are hiding your face in spite of all the wrong you have done?
Since at the class Tuesday night, the City Singh Sahib was talking about India and the yatra, and since some people may be considering whether or not to go, I thought I'd read a couple of older poems actually about India. The first one is called Bangla Sahib. The steps were wet, the marble cold as I walked through lifetimes of prayer. The dark morning sky over this place so old held the vibrations which hung in the air. We climbed to the top while the music played, as my withering mind gave way to my heart. In my hands a garland and prashad, just made, seemed like treasures and sacred works of art. The lights from inside glowed yellow and bright. Then I looked up and saw light on the dome. And deep in my heart, day broke from night. I had awakened and found my way home. And off to the right, where a few people stood, they were pouring water into the pilgrims' hands. They sipped it and splashed it, the bad and the good, for Guru's mercy falls like the rain on all lands. We walked to that place where Guru once sat and lovingly took on himself the plague. For thousands of people were saved by that sacrifice for them and the coming age. The water, cold, fell into my palms and trickled down my throat and face, while below children begged for alms and the morning light began to fill the space. As we started to walk in, I heard him say, like a voice that fell softly from the sky, "This water heals people even today." Then I choked and started to cry. And I understood within myself the depth of Guru's love for us all. That sweet little boy who sacrificed himself simply listened and answered the call. For many days after, when I would recall that moment when with my teacher I stood, I would begin to cry and my tears would fall, but I felt grateful and happy and good. That water heals people even today, but it springs from the heart, not the ground. For it is when we walk in Guru's way that the source and the stream are found. The other one is called The Stain, another side of India. I am home now and my belly gurgles and spews. There is goo in my lungs and my bowels are loose. The dirt under my nails is just beginning to fade, and there are indelible stains in the clothes I had made, which won't ever wash out and the smell won't go. My sinuses drip green and perpetually flow. I can't stay awake, neither can I sleep. I forget where I am and occasionally I weep. I've touched the dust of India, and that memory now I keep. The stains in my clothes, as if dyed, will not fade. The smell in my nostrils recalls the pilgrimage that I made. Each step I take, though home, retraces those I walked there, upon that warm white marble, through the thickness of the air, stepping around the bodies in calm and sweet repose, although there were times when I had to hold my nose. Yet in that silent space, resting still in the night, we walked in reverent grace, bowing low to reach the height, while all around us, like on a midway, was flashing light. The stains are still on my feet, still upon my soles. The pollution hides in my lungs, escaping through my nose. But the dye of the divine has stained the fabric of my heart, and I hold that experience tightly, and from it I'll never part. Long after my clothes are cleaned and again my lungs are clear, the touch of forehead upon that marble is the one thing I'll hold dear. Even though I'm home and by this illusion I am bound, that stain upon my heart is where my thoughts are found, and in the dusty back streets of my mind I hear that haunting sound. Let this stain remain on my heart, let all of me be dyed with the color of the Guru who is ever by my side. He also walks in front of me to lead me day to day, while bringing up the rear in case I lose my way, which has been known to happen, perhaps a time or two. But there, to get my attention, has been that son of the Guru who has showed me how to walk upon this dusty road, and how to stand up straight while bearing a heavy load, for it is upon that humble head that the spiritual crown was bestowed. So let this prayer be answered, that I never again become clean. Rather let this stain spread all over into my every seam, for I walked upon that marble, guided again by Guru's beam, as I stepped into the water in the fulfillment of a dream, and dipped down with my master, from whose wisdom I have gleaned, that it is only upon the Guru that any wise man will lean, to sustain him through the challenges that human life will bring. Soon my nose will clear and my lungs will stop producing green, but that stain will never leave me. At least, that is how it seems.
Well, you have, what is it? Huh? I didn't hear you. Oh, cookies are going to be served. That is a fun. So let us sing to her.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Saruka. Happy birthday to you.
She is a 10-year-old. 3 plus 7 means 10. Quite growing. What else is the news? Hello? You want cookies? Come on, come on. Oh God, you are so all beautiful, huh? Oh yeah. This is beautiful, Adi Shakti. You dried? Wow. You are a very good artist. Look at it. Eh? So you cheated today. You didn't write a new poem.
Well, I thought this was appropriate.
You made it up, huh?
Didn't make it up.
Where is today's poem?
You'll have it.
Wow, what's that?
We have 2 openings in the Akampat tonight, one at 12 and one at 1. You could split it up half an hour each, any way you want to do it, but we have 1 tonight and 12 open. So if anyone wants to sign up, please let me know. And also tomorrow night, 1 o'clock and 4 a.m. So let me know. Thanks.